Hi there and welcome to Real Talk Fitness with AMPT. If you're just jumping in, I'm Ashley Cummins, your host. I'm the owner and founder of AMPT. It's not just a gym, it's a community that we've created of like-minded people that come together and achieve their goals. I'm also a busy mum of two energetic boys, 9 and 5, that keep me on my toes. And in between that, I find time to train for powerlifting, high rocks events, and of late, I've taken on some running events as well. Which leads me into what I want to talk about today is that when life feels heavy. I've noticed that life feels heavy for a lot of people right now. The pressure of finances, the constant stress, trying to hold everything together while still showing up for work, family, training, relationships, and yourself somewhere in all of that. And somewhere along the way, people stop actually living and they're just surviving. In today's episode, we unpack why so many people feel overwhelmed, disconnected, anxious, burnt out, and stuck in cycles they can't seem to break. I want to dive into how stress slowly pulls you away from yourself, why people lose confidence and direction, the difference between reacting to life versus taking control of it, how your values shape your decisions, habits, relationships, and mindset, why most people are chasing things that don't actually even align with them, and the importance of slowing down enough to ask yourself, what actually matters to me? I'm also going to touch on lessons and ideas that growth doesn't come from pretending everything is okay. It comes from getting really honest with yourself. So during today's episode, you might find yourself getting a little bit emotional, and that really tells me something, that what you're diving into means something to you. And this isn't about toxic positivity, thinking about rainbows and sunshines and unicorns, or pretending life is easy by any means. It's about learning how to regulate your emotions, stop spiraling, create structure, rebuild your self-trust, and take ownership of things you can control. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop waiting for life to magically calm down and start grounding yourself with who you are now. If you've been feeling mentally exhausted, emotionally disconnected, or overwhelmed by life lately, this conversation's for you. So let's dive in. We are constantly switched on. I think one of the biggest problems right now is that people never truly switch off anymore. Their body might stop moving, but their mind never stops. Years ago, stress was usually situational, right? You'd go through a hard season, financial pressure, relationship stress, work stress, but eventually there was recovery. There was space. Now, people wake up stressed before the day has even started. And because everyone else is also stressed, overwhelmed, rushing, emotionally exhausted, we normalize this survival mode. People don't even realize how overstimulated they are. The average person wakes up within minutes, they're consuming notifications on their phone, messages, scrolling through Facebook, reading bad news, looking at emails, opening bills, thinking about the expectations on themselves, worrying about other people's opinions, social media, comparison, before they've even checked in with themselves for the day, before they have even breathed properly, had some water, seen sunlight, actually even asked themselves, how do I actually feel today? Their brain goes straight into reaction mode. As humans, we've lost silence. This is a massive point. People are constantly consuming. If they're driving, they're listening to a podcast, probably like you are now, or if you're walking, listening to me as I speak currently. When you're in the shower, you're thinking. When you're cooking, you're watching TV. When you're just sitting there, you're scrolling through your phone. There's never stillness. There's never silence. never reflection. And in this day and age, silence feels uncomfortable because people are so used to distraction. A lot of people are terrified of silence or being with their own thoughts, so to speak. And you know why? Because this forces awareness. It creates awareness of exhaustion, loneliness, unhappiness, resentment, anxiety, grief, or burnout. So instead, people stay distracted, not because they're lazy, because distraction temporarily numbs all of this discomfort. And modern life creates constant pressure. People feel like they're behind all the time. And you know, the one thing I've noticed that amplifies this is social media. Everywhere you look, someone bought a house, someone's getting married, someone's traveling, someone's making more money than you, someone transformed their body, someone built a business. And while people know logically social media isn't real life, people are just showing their highlights, emotionally, their nervous system still absorbs it. So this is this invisible pressure. People feel pressure to earn more, look better, train harder, heal faster, be happier, be more productive, have their life all figured out. There's this constant feeling of I should be further ahead than I am. And that feeling slowly destroys you. And just something personal with that is there's been multiple times I've had to do a personal self-check with myself and go, I'm living my life on my terms. There's always going to be somebody that's stronger than me with powerlifting. There's always going to be a personal trainer that might have a better following or might be more educated than I am. And that's okay. I'm not always going to be the best in every single aspect when it comes to personal training or when it comes to podcasting or when it comes to any of that. But I'm happy with where I am. And that's all that matters. And once I take that control back, I no longer feel the need to compare. Those things that I see no longer trigger me the same way. Now, the biggest thing that I've noticed as well with everybody feeling so overwhelmed is the financial stress. And this is deeper than the money you have in your bank account. This part is so important because people will deeply relate. Cost of living isn't just numbers, bills, groceries, rent. When you start to feel this pressure, it affects your identity. People feel embarrassed, ashamed, like they're failing, guilty they can't provide more, guilty for resting, guilty for spending money. Some people are working harder than ever and still feel like they're falling behind. And internally, this can create hopelessness. Financial stress doesn't just stay in your bank account. It again enters your nervous system. It affects your relationships, your sleep, your confidence, your self-worth. And at the end of the day, we need to remember the past is in the past. The future is in the future. If we keep anticipating what's going to happen as in negative things, we're going to head towards and see more negative things. So as long as you have a roof over your head, food in your mouth, and a smile on your face, do the numbers in the bank account really matter? Have you made it through hard times like this before? And if you've answered yes to those questions, well, what are you worried about? Because right now, right here, everything is okay. So many people are exhausted from holding all of this together. And it's not because you're weak. It's because they're trying to be strong or trying to hide all of these emotions or be real. And you know what? In this life, we all ultimately get a choice to be happy. And it sounds so cliche. And as I said at the beginning, this isn't about rainbows and unicorns and all of that sort of stuff. It's about being real. Because if I asked you the question and had you honestly answer it, what's stopping you from being happy? Now, I'm sure if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can list a lot of things, but are they external things? Are they material things? Because if they are, happiness doesn't come from any of that. It comes from you and how you foresee the world, what you choose to hold on to, how you choose to respond or react to what happens around you. Because at the end of the day, life is going to keep happening, time is going to keep ticking, regardless of what you do. So you can choose how you show up. And positivity is one of those things that doesn't mean, again, the house is on fire and you're saying everything's okay. Positivity is going, it's all going to work out. And as long as you have everything you need, and when I say everything you need, a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food in your mouth, nothing else legitimately matters. But in a world that we are so driven with comparison and wanting more, leaves you feeling empty and stressed and not enough. And it leads you to be emotionally exhausted. You're putting all these expectations, body image struggles, parenting pressure, financial pressure, when in reality, you have everything that you need in this moment. You're just not present here. You're thinking about the what ifs, or if you could go back and change things. But the reality is, we can't fast forward time. We cannot predict what's going to happen. We cannot control it. And we can't go back. So start living in the now. Some people haven't truly relaxed in years. Their body is constantly bracing for the next problem. They end up with nervous system dysregulation. And to explain this simply, your body keeps score of stress. When someone is constantly overwhelmed, their nervous system starts operating in survival mode, meaning the body feels constantly unsafe. The chatter in your head, and I like to call it your roommate becomes more and more negative. And again, when you focus on negative, you're going to see more negative. It's like when you go buy a red car and then you start seeing more red cars, right? It's inevitable. So if you're focusing on shit, you're going to see more shit happen and you're going to feel more exhausted. Your body's going to keep score of this stress and you're going to find yourself in a spiral. When if we take a step back, the reality of it is that you have everything you need. The problem with society now and the financial stress that people are talking about is they want more. And when the things that we need go up, they can't have the things that they want. Are the things that they want really necessary? No. Somewhere along the line, the wires have been crossed. Because these things that they want are material things that make you feel better for 5 seconds. They don't help you live a life of fulfillment. So example, like I see it a lot within the gym, is people go, I can't afford PT, but they'll come in with $100 of new activewear. And it's like, well, that made you feel better for 10 minutes. Investing in a PT session can make you move better, give you better direction, and give you more value for weeks to months to years, opposed to a 10-minute dopamine hit, bought it, wore it, and it's now old news. Now you want something else. So this constantly places pressure. So this financial situation that we're in, this feeling of being overwhelmed, is generally coming from what we want rather than what you need. And then our nervous system starts to go into fight or flight, right? So originally when this was designed, our nervous system fight or flight was for predators, physical threats, or emergency. But now our body is looking at threats as unread emails, financial stress, social comparison, overthinking, constant stimulation. And now the body is responding the same way to these threats. So you're probably thinking, what happens? The nervous system stays activated, which means people can't relax properly. They struggle sleeping. They become more emotionally reactive. They start overthinking everything. They struggle to focus. They feel disconnected. And to some extremes that I've seen, people just shut everybody out. And to be honest, when your nervous system is overloaded, even the small things seem so massive. But remember, take a step back and look at your life through the window. And do you have everything you need? If you can honestly answer that, be true to yourself. This stress that you're facing, is this because you can't have what you want? Is this because you're not truly happy with who you are? So some people are constantly scanning for problems. So again, getting back to what I said before, is that when you go to buy a red car, you start seeing more red cars, right? So when you're feeling down and low and out, you're going to start scanning for more of those problems and you're going to find them, right? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Sounds so fucking simple, but it's the truth. You focus on negativity, you're going to find more of it. You're probably thinking, well, how do I get out of this? Is you need to remind yourself, do you have everything that you need? Are you living a life of fulfillment? Are you doing what makes you happy? Because material items don't provide true happiness. Now, when your nervous system is like this, and it could just literally spiral from one thing, not being able to afford to pay a bill, or not having any dispensable income to go out for dinner, or whatever it might be, and this puts your nervous system into overdrive. So then you start to become more emotionally reactive. And when people are emotionally overloaded, their patience drops, their tolerance drops, they snap easier, they cry, they shut down, they avoid people, they isolate, emotionally eat, binging, scrolling on Instagram, Facebook, they procrastinate, and then they shame themselves for it, and then the cycle continues. So people keep calling themselves lazy when in reality they're emotionally overloaded from their nervous system being dysregulated from all of these outside pressures. And this is really powerful, as a lot of people think, I don't even feel like myself anymore. Because eventually the nervous system stops trying to process everything. It numbs it out for protection. People stop feeling excitement, feeling joy, feeling motivated or connected. And I can vouch for this on a personal level. Is lately I've been super aware of how much more I've used my phone and not actually being present in the room with my kids when they get back from school. And when you take away your phone, the ability to check your bank account or check your emails or do any of that and just be in the moment, things become a lot simpler. So a lot of people are just functioning, surviving, and then repeating. And then this causes burnout. And burnout isn't always dramatic. Sometimes burnout looks like functioning normal while feeling emotionally empty. And sometimes the transitions beautifully into values and self-connection, because there's so many people out there that feel lost right now. But it's because when you spend years in survival mode, you disconnect from yourself. You're always overstimulated. You're constantly reacting rather than responding. And you eventually stop asking yourself, what do I actually want from my life? And how do I just get through the week is what you generally ask, rather than saying, what do I actually want? Which leads me to think people generally don't know who they are anymore. They're living this facade of what people think they should be. And this comes down to the care factor. As an animal, you want to try and fit in, right? You don't want to be the odd one out. But in reality, we're becoming more and more disconnected from ourselves. And now most people are strangers to themselves. Through the years of pressure, stress, people pleasing, which is a massive one, performing, and that's what I said before in terms of performing, is being who you think others want you to be, not who you truly are. Because if you are who you truly are and know your purpose and what you want, and remember, go back to that question, do you have everything you need? That's enough. And your positivity will radiate and you'll attract more people that are your people. Because the reality is, performing, putting on a facade is exhausting. And then you start focusing on just getting through rather than living. Now, I was listening to something the other day and it's really kind of deep. Is that a lot of people, that have had a near-death experience or even have actually thoroughly thought of this question, if you were given 1 week to live, what would you do differently? And now ponder on that. Why aren't you doing that now? Because death is inevitable. We are all going to die one day, right? And sometimes we're not giving warnings. So if there's things that you would do differently if you were given 1 week to live, my question to you is, why aren't you doing that now? Is it because you think you have time? Nobody owns time. Time is something that's going to pass anyway, regardless of what you do. Somewhere along the way, we've lost our identity. We've become built around achievement. We're nobody unless we achieve something. Being useful. You get fulfilled by being needed. Proving yourself to others. And you're just surviving. Some people are only valued when they're giving something to others. So they never learn how to value themselves. And this creates a dangerous cycle. Because people start believing, if I'm not producing, then who am I? A lot of people are performing wellness, happiness, and success, while internally they're so disconnected. And to be honest, after years of myself of performing and thinking, if I'm not giving and if I'm not going above and beyond for my clients, or that I'm a nobody. And the reality is that I become a nobody by giving to others and not giving to myself. Because if I know who I am and I love who I am, everything else around me falls into place. And saying that out loud it makes you vulnerable. Admitting that you're struggling, or sometimes admitting that you don't know who you are anymore, feels fucking terrifying. In a world where everyone looks like they've got it together. So instead of being vulnerable, you keep pretending, and then pretending gets exhausting. One of the most important questions of this entire episode is, what do I actually want? 90% of people that I talk to make decisions based on the fear of what could happen, the expectation of other people, the need for validation from others, the pressure of the shoulds, and obligation, not alignment of who they truly are. Because people think that this is what I'm supposed to do. But deep down, you truly know what's right for you. Now, I want to leave you with something, is a lot of people aren't burnt out from doing too much. They're burnt out from living a life that doesn't feel like theirs. Some people are terrified to slow down because silence forces them to meet themselves, and that can be very confronting. Because when distraction stops, people finally feel. And they can feel things that they've been outrunning for years. And then we get back to the constant distraction. And distraction has become a socially acceptable form of emotional avoidance. In a life where we're so socially connected with so many different applications, we are a society that is so lonely. So if you do one thing from today's episode, is sit in silence for 20 minutes. Feel your feels. Because emotional avoidance has become socially accepted. And you can stay busy for years and still never heal. You can achieve, you can make money, you can train hard. Because achievement does not automatically create peace. The body always knows. Right? The body always knows when there's something wrong. You feel emotionally flat, exhausted, disconnected, overwhelmed. Because externally, success does not always mean that you're doing this in line with yourself. And success without alignment still feels empty. So you chase the next hurdle. And you're on that monotonous treadmill again. I'll be happy when. Now, I want to talk about values. Because most people don't lack motivation, they lack clarity. Because when you know your values, your decisions become easier. Your boundaries become easier. Your priorities become clearer, and peace becomes easier. So this feeling of stress and overwhelmed from life's pressures becomes a lot clearer. So if you value your health, but you sleep for 4 hours, you live stressed, you ignore your body, you run on caffeine and cortisol and never rest, your body feels this contradiction. People say, I want health, but their lifestyle says, I'm surviving. Your body is not separate from your emotional life. If you value your family, but you're emotionally unavailable, you're distracted and scrolling all the time, you're always working, you're never present, and you feel guilty constantly because of this. Because deep down, you know your actions aren't matching your values. A lot of people are physically present, but emotionally absent, especially with their family. Now, I want to say that, sometimes anxiety is not your body betraying you. Sometimes it's your body communicating with you. Sometimes your nervous system is saying, this lifestyle is not sustainable anymore. Your body notices when you're exhausted, emotionally unsafe, disconnected. And every time you abandon yourself, your body remembers. You ignore your intuition, you silence your needs, you tolerate disrespect, you abandon your boundaries, you people please time and time again, you shrink yourself, and you slowly lose trust with yourself. And people keep trying to fix their life, especially in the moment when life feels so overwhelming, through punishment. They get rid of things that bring them happiness. And I've seen that a lot, especially with gym memberships. Oh, I can't afford it. But yet they're still buying coffees every day, or they're still going out for dinner. And it's like you're punishing yourself. And people treat themselves like a problem to fix. And this is huge. And then it goes to the all or nothing cycle. So people keep confusing self-destruction with discipline. Real discipline is sustainable. Punishment is not. You cannot hate yourself into peace. So many people believe if I'm harder on myself, I'll finally improve. But shame does not create long-term change. Most people need boundaries, compassion with themselves, support, and they need to let them know that they're safe. Because in a life that's constantly changing and a life that constantly feels overwhelming, is your body starts to not feel safe. And if your values don't align with, what you are doing, you're living a life that isn't true to you. So let go of performance. A lot of people are just exhausted because they're constantly performing. They're trying to impress everyone, prove themselves, maintain an image, and keep everyone comfortable. And it's exhausting. So I hope today's episode has really made it clear to bring you to inner peace in a life that feels so overwhelming at the moment. Because maybe peace isn't found in becoming more. Maybe peace comes from stripping away everything that was never truly you to begin with. And that's a wrap of today's episode. If there's one thing I want you to take away, is maybe the goal for you right now isn't constantly reinventing yourself. Maybe it's to reconnect with yourself. Stop abandoning you. And ask yourself some real honest questions. Do I have everything that I need? Are the things that I'm chasing to make me happy material? Do I need to find happiness within? Stop abandoning yourself. Just stop building a life entirely around pressure, proving, and performance. Finally build one that actually feels like home. Because at the end of the day, no one's coming to save us. We need to save ourselves. Start responding to what happens rather than reacting. Reacting, you're giving away your control. Be present in this moment, because right now, you have clothes on your body, a roof over your head, and you're safe. You no longer need to feel overwhelmed. And the deep question I want you to ask yourself is that if you were given 1 week to live, what would you do differently? And if you would live your life on different terms, why aren't you doing it now? Because death is inevitable. It's one thing that is certain: we're all going to end there one day. The difference between those that are happy and those that aren't fulfilled are what we do with that in between. And that is the now. So stop surviving and start living. Until next time, keep it real.